I'm really looking forward to Mailman Kenny coming today because he's going to have a package in the mail for me. And so I'm just kind of eager to see when he'll get here. It's 10:30 now, and he usually gets here anytime between 10:30 or closer to 11. So I shouldn't be concerned because he's always on time and he's always dependable, rain or shine. But I just really want my package to come, and so I'm sure he'll be here any minute. Have you ever really looked forward to something coming, like I'm right now? You kind of just really can't wait for it to happen, right? I think I'll look again. He's there, and I think he's actually a little bit earlier than usual, so I'm going to check and see if he can have time to come in for a little visit.
To do, I have so many things planned for you. We'll laugh and we'll play, we'll sing and we'll pray. I'll tell you a story or two, and we'll be friends, you and I, yes, you and I, and Jesus. You're here once again. It's so nice to have you as my friend.
Before I introduce you to Mailman Kenny, I want to remind you about the mystery word, okay? Remember, the key words that I say will come up on this side, and then the important letter will be bigger and brighter, and it'll jump out and come over right into the correct spot in the mystery word. It looks like today's word has 8 letters. So are you ready to start? Pay real close attention. Well, Mailman Kenny, I'd like to introduce you to my friends.
Hi there.
And it looks like you brought my package for me.
You've been looking for this?
Oh, have I ever. They know how much I... Oh, and a letter too.
Yeah,
great.
You got a letter there also.
No, I didn't expect that letter. That's great. Well, I just have been wondering, when do you start work and when do you finish each day?
Well, we start about 7 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh, early.
Well, I spend about, on my route, I spend about 3 hours in the office casing mail before I ever get ready to go out on the route. And we finish about 3:30 in the afternoon, something like that.
Now, what's casing mail?
Well, that's when we get the mail. It comes in trays, see? And it's set on our case, our ledge, and so forth. And in our case, we have partitions in there and so forth. And all the house numbers, street numbers and so forth are printed on that. And when I pick up the mail, I take my mail and I look at it, and I'll look at the street address and so forth, and then I find that spot on my case, see, and put it in there. And then I have to do all my letters and magazines and stuff like that too, see. And then when I get this all done, then I pull it out in delivery sequence and then put it in trays and put it in my truck, and away I go.
So it's like it's in order to make it easier for you to...
When I get out on the mail route.
Well, that makes sense. I kind of wondered how you did that.
Yeah.
Do you go to the same houses every day?
Just about, because I've been on the route now 29 years.
Really?
Yes.
So now, like, now you said first you spend your 3 hours in the office.
Right.
And then once you get out there going, what about if you got tired along the way and you just sort of, say it was a hot day and you wanted to just take a nap in the shade of a nice tree for an hour or so. Can you do that?
I'm afraid that'd be out of the question because, see, we've got just so much time to deliver the mail, and we have to be on time. And people expect us, about the same time, like you probably did today.
Yeah, I was expecting you about the same time because you seem to always get here about the same time.
I've had people tell me they can set their clock by me. And so that's what people are counting on, dependability. They entrust us with the mail. And we like to give them the service because they deserve it.
What's the most important kind of mail you deliver?
Probably the most important would be like registered mail, where someone's sending cash or bonds, something like that, jewelry through the mail. But to me, it's all important, whether it's a postcard or registered mail or any kind of mail, because people have entrusted this, whether it's a child or a grown-up. They give it to us, and they depend upon us to get it there to the destination. And I like to give my people good service. Because I become more a friend and part, you know, of their life. I like to be that way.
Oh, that's neat. Well, I don't want to keep you if someone's setting their clock by you.
Right.
So, well, thank you for coming today. And
It's quite all right.
yeah, and don't get too hot out there.
Well, I won't. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, I just am not going to wait any longer to open this up. I can hardly wait to see what it looks like. Do you know what it is that I ordered? Did I tell you? Do you want to guess? It's a book. And it's an appointment book. Oh, it's just the blue that I wanted. Good. I wasn't sure what that blue would look like. Oh, this book is going to be so great. It'll help me be so much more organized because it has like a page with, you know, each day so you can keep track of what you need to do that day. And then it has back here, there's where you can put people's addresses and phone numbers. And then here you can keep track of any specific projects you need to do. Oh, this is great. And then this is just a little scratch pad. Oh, there's even a little Ziploc thing that I can put like maybe receipts or something in. It's so nice to be organized. Do you know what I want to do? I think that God talks about being dependable and stuff like that. And I know there's a text in Luke somewhere, and I'm just thinking that if I could look it up and read it to you. It's Luke 16, verse 10. Oh, yes, this is wonderful. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And that's what I'm hoping this book will help me do, to be more dependable. That's neat. Trustworthiness. That's important, isn't it? You know what I want to do? I'm going to write down right here, Luke 16:10. And then later on, I'm going to remember to maybe print it somewhere nice in this book. Oh, my letter. I almost forgot about my letter. Dear Janice, I have a surprise for you. I will arrive at 4 o'clock. See you soon. I'm not going to tell you who it's from. And shall we see if this person is dependable? And if they arrive right on time? Ranger Connie, I'd like you to meet my friends.
Hi.
And what can you tell us about the tides and how the tides work?
Well, the tides work because of the gravity of the moon and the rotation of the Earth. As the Earth rotates around, the moon pulls on the Earth, and whatever side of the Earth that's closest to the moon pulls all the water to that side and creates the high tides, and the low tides are on the opposite side.
Okay, and so then how many times a day or a week will the tide come in and go out?
There's 2 high tides and 2 low tides in a 24-hour period.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow. Can you be sure that that will happen always?
Yeah, that happens every single day, and there's predictable, like the phases of the moon, so we can predict them years in advance.
Years in advance, so you can pretty well know what time the tide will come in next week on a certain day.
Yep, the tide books are available, and you can get those at bookstores or bait shops, that sort of thing.
I bet fishermen and boaters study the tide
Definitely need
books
to
a
know
lot.
those, yeah.
Great. What do the tides affect, like little animals that live around in the ocean?
All the critters that live right in this area here, we have a good example here of the barnacles and some mussels and limpets.
Now, which are the barnacles?
The barnacles are these little guys. They're called buckshot, like the gun buckshot. They're called buckshot barnacles. And then we have these up here are limpets, and these darker ones in here are mussels. They're little baby mussels.
Okay, okay.
And these guys depend on the tides too, because right now there's no water around them. But as the tide comes in, they're going to get wet, and the water will bring in food for them to eat on, to feed on, and also bring them more moisture. Although with the rain, they don't.
Yeah. But maybe the rain is the wrong kind of water, perhaps.
Exactly. It's they need to have salt water.
Okay.
And when the fresh water comes in, they need to have the salt levels higher than this.
And so even the rain probably washes the salt off them.
Oh yeah.
So the salt water, and then you said the salt water has little bits of food in it for them.
Right, and there's little microorganisms
How
that
does
they feed
food
on.
get into a barnacle?
Well, the barnacles, these are little guys here. The animal is actually down inside of that, and they are shaped kind of like a triangle or cone, and they open up a little bit, And then they have a feeder. They have like an arm that comes out and sweeps at the water. It looks like a big feather. And it'll sweep out all of the nutrients and the little microorganisms to feed on.
And then take it into its house and eat it.
Yep, that's
that's neat. Well, I think that's neat, that tomorrow God's going to bring the tide in again for those barnacles and all those little creatures.
The tide comes in, the tide goes out. Tomorrow God will do it again. The geese come in, the geese go out. Next year God will do it again. They know where to go and the route to take. Just like the ocean with its big, big waves. Things grow up, things grow out. Tomorrow God will do it again.
Hey kids, if you love all the fun things you get to do with Janice and her friends, you'll flip over this. It's Janice's activity book. Loaded with fun, this book teaches scripture through mazes, puzzles, dot-to-dot games, coloring, and more. And the best part is, it's free! Let's take a look inside. The scripture on this page says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Now, let's circle the pictures that are the same. That's right, you've got the idea. There are many more fun-filled activities in this book just waiting for you. By the way, did I mention it's free? To get your very own copy, have your mom or dad write to Janice's Attic Activity Book, care of 3ABN, P.O. Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois 62896, or call 1-800-752-3226. Don't wait, order yours today.
Hi, Dr. Neblett.
Hi, Janice.
I'm sure glad you're dependable.
I'm delighted to be here.
You know what? We just came from the ocean, and Ranger Connie was there, and she was explaining the tides to us and how they work. Fascinating. They just come in and out every day like clockwork.
You mean it's very dependable?
Exactly.
There's something else that's very dependable. It's about as big as your fist.
Is my fist or your fist?
My fist and your fist.
But what about their fist?
There's two. What do you think it would be?
You tell me.
It's your heart.
Neat. Tell me about it.
Your heart is in the center of your chest. Let's use Frank as our model right here. Let me take this off very quickly.
And this is just like what my body is like inside.
That's right. And here, in the center of your chest, is your heart.
Okay.
And everyone's heart is about as big as their fist. Your heart is made out of a muscle.
Ooh.
Let me show you right here. There are 4 chambers to your heart. Let me open them up.
All of this inside each person's the size of their fist?
That's right. And what's really important are these valves right here, because they allow the blood to only move in one direction as the heart is pumping the blood in your body.
Oh, okay. Now, why does the heart need to pump the blood?
Well, if it didn't work, we wouldn't work at all. Now, let me show you how dependable this pump is.
Okay.
Right here I have a model in front of me. And it has a valve in it just like the heart does.
Okay.
It only allows the, in this case, red fluid, it looks like blood, to move only in one direction. I'm going to hold this end down to make sure it works. And let's see what happens when I pump.
Oh, it comes out, sure enough.
That's exactly the way our heart works. It pumps blood from one end to the other, and the valves don't allow it to go back. It's very important.
So they're kind of like those doors in shopping centers that only open
One way, like a trapdoor, exactly. Now, there's something very important. We have to remember to keep this heart healthy and strong.
Ooh, I'll say if it's that important.
That's right. We do that with exercise, and we do that with eating the right foods.
Very important. And why do we need blood to be pumped throughout our body? So why is that important?
Well, this heart is very important to pump the blood that carries oxygen out into our tissues, and it brings back carbon dioxide that we breathe out into the air. That's what our heart does. And it makes sure that all of our organs work beautifully. If it weren't for the blood, we wouldn't have oxygen and we wouldn't live. That's why it's so important that it be dependable. And it is. It beats 60 to 80 times every minute as long as you live.
And you never have to think about it.
You don't. God made it very dependable.
Well, I think we better take good care of our heart pumps then.
I think we should. Now, there's something that I do when I take care of patients. I use this.
Oh, what's this called?
This is called a stethoscope.
Ooh. okay.
I put this end in my ears, and you
Okay.
put that end over your heart. Remember where it is? Right in the
about
center of
here,
your
maybe?
chest. That's right.
Okay. Tell me, can you hear anything?
I sure can. I can hear your heartbeat.
Ooh.
If you use a stethoscope, you can hear your heartbeat pump,
Pump, pump, pump.
The valves open up and close with a backbeat pump, pump,
Pump, pump.
from toes to tummy and heart to head. When you're playing outside, when you're sleeping in bed, that heart keeps a pumping your blood so red. It's so dependable, God has said. It's so dependable, God has said. Pump, pump, God has said. So dependable, pump, pump, pump.
Well, Mr. Mulder, I just love coming and seeing God's animals, and the LA Zoo is a wonderful place to
Isn't
come,
this
isn't
fun?
it? What are those ones?
Those are ring-tailed lemurs from Madagascar.
They're so
South
beautiful. It almost seems like they depend on each other and stay together.
They do.
Are there any other animals that you can tell me about that depend
Well-
on one another?
There's the meerkat, and that's right here. This, you see him watching in the sky there? He's watching for predators, and all the rest of them can kind of go around their business, and he's the lookout.
So you're saying that one of them stands guard so the others can play and have a nice relaxing time?
Well, it keeps all of them safe.
That's wonderful. Tell me, what do meerkats eat?
They eat lizards and snakes and insects, and they don't seem to be vegetarians, but they seem to like those animals.
Now, what kind of danger is the little meerkat watching for right now?
These would be hawk-like birds that would swoop down on them.
Swoop down and just...
And these have been watching here at the zoo for the red-tailed hawk.
For the red-tailed hawk.
And you don't see the red-tailed hawk in view, but when he's near, they certainly are on guard.
On guard. Well, that's great. Well, Mr. Mulder, what advice could you give to people, to children, about what they can learn from how dependable the little meerkat is?
Well, if you can be trustworthy, not just to look out after yourself, but to look out after each other. Not only your friends, but everyone.
Well, that's a neat lesson. I think I'd like to try and do that myself, and I think my friends would too. Well, we just appreciate you coming so much, and we have so many more things to do now, so don't go away because there's something exciting coming up. I have something I want you to think about with me. Think about how the mailman must have felt when he brought me my package right on time. What do you think he felt like? I think so too. I think he must have felt so proud of himself for arriving just at the right time with my package. It's a good feeling to be dependable, isn't it? Have you ever been dependable? How did you feel? Maybe you started the dishes without being reminded that they needed to be done. I bet you were proud of yourself when someone came in and said, "Thanks for doing those dishes." I bet you felt good, didn't you? Or maybe you made your bed real smooth without any wrinkles. That's a good feeling too, isn't it? It's a good feeling to do a job well and to be dependable about doing it. Now don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to have a guessing game about some people and things that are dependable. See you then.
Did you know that one of the best ways to become a good friend of Jesus is by spending personal time with him every day? Well, adults do that by praying and by reading their Bibles. But if you can't read, it's kind of hard, isn't it? Or maybe you just like listening to tapes. Well, here's a fun way to have your very own devotions every morning when you get up. Janice has made these morning time devotions for her kids and for you, complete with songs, prayers, and stories. For more information, have your parents write to Morning Time Ministries, Box 208A, Kitwanga, that's Kitwanga, British Columbia, V0J2A0, or call 1-800-263-7671. Here's the number again, 1-800-263-7671.
This looks like fun. There's a lot of things in my basket today. Okay, get it all the way up here. Ooh, you know what? I think we should have a guessing game. Now, as I look at these things, I think they are all things that are dependable, okay? That's your first hint. And the first one that I want to tell you about is shaped like this. Okay, do you know what it is? I'll give you another clue. It's very light. Okay, shall I show you? A light bulb. We need lights, don't we? Lights need to be dependable. Okay, now this one I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to pull it out slowly and you start looking at it from the top. Do you know yet what it is? Do you have anything like this? You need glue to be dependable. If you want to glue something together, you need it to be dependable and hold together, don't you? Okay. Oh, this one. Boy, people sure depend on this. Okay, look at it. I'm just going to show part of it at first. Do you know what that is? Pull it a little bit more. Have you guessed? A faucet. Boy, you sure like it when you turn on that faucet. You're sure glad if the water comes out, aren't you? We really depend on faucets to give us water. You know, we depend on a lot of things and a lot of people, don't we? Wouldn't you like to be someone that people can depend on? I want to be that way.
The bed gets made, the clothes picked up. Tomorrow we will do it again. The toys put back, the table set. Tomorrow we will do it again. Doing your best with nothing hid. That's what God wants from dependable kids. Kids grow up, kids go out. Tomorrow God will help us again.
Are you ready for a story?
Yeah.
Remember, last week we found out that the villagers couldn't figure out why there were noises in the cave. And then a boat disappeared all on its own and then came back. And they didn't know what had happened. And then the very next day, a horse belonging to one of the villagers just disappeared. Well, they were all about to plan a search to go looking for the horse when it appeared back in the barn, in its stall, with the gate latched and shut, and furthermore, the horse was tied up properly. Now, horses can't open doors to barns. Horses can't latch the stall. Horses can't tie themselves up. Everybody was curious, and they were just getting over that when one of the poor widows in the village, who had been very sick, became so surprised because one morning when she woke up, on the table beside her bed was a little box of crackers, 3 little herring fish, and 2 little loaves of bread. And she didn't know who had put them there. It had just come there during the night when she had been sound asleep. And everybody was saying, who did all of this? Is it something to do with the cave and the noises in the cave? Nobody could figure it out. Well, in Longview Village, one of the excitements each week was when the steamer came from Glasgow. And that brought the mail and packages and sometimes people. And this particular week, when the steamer came, all the villagers were on the beach watching because it was an exciting thing to have it come. And as they were watching, one man had a telescope, and he was looking through the telescope, and he said, "Ooh, there's some people getting off that I've never seen before." And so everybody was wondering who it was. And they got off the boat and into a little rowboat and then rowed into the shore. Well, it turned out those people was a boy and a man. Roy was the boy and Mr. Wallace was the man. And they were coming to spend Roy's summer vacation visiting Roy's uncle, and his uncle was the storekeeper. Well, as you can imagine, very quickly after Roy arrived in the little town, everybody started to tell about the stories of all the interesting things that had been happening. And Mr. Wallace, Roy's dad, he wasn't all that interested, but Roy's ears were just a-flapping in the breeze because this was so interesting to hear all these mysterious things. And he would listen to this one and listen to that one. And then one evening, one of the villagers said, "You should go visit Oscar and Bruce. They're boys about your age." So Roy tried to visit them, but they weren't even home, and so he went back. And then the next day, someone said, "You should go for a swim. The water in the bay is wonderful for swimming." So Roy went out for a swim, and he would swim from this rock, and then he would swim over to another rock, because, you know, you kind of get tired when you go swimming for a long time. But he was having just a lovely time swimming, and everything was really nice. And then that night, something else happened. One of the villagers had just bought a brand new, very expensive, lovely life jacket. And he was so proud of it, and when he wore his life jacket, he would just sort of strut his shoulders back because he was so proud of his jacket. And it disappeared during the night. And you can imagine that he was very upset about that. Well, then, it had only been gone for just, maybe a day or so. And the next morning when he got up, he opened his door at 5:30 in the morning, when he always got up. And there, hanging from a nail right by his front door, was his life jacket. Now, how did it come back? And how did it go away? And did that have anything to do with the widow's crackers? And did that have anything to do with the horse that tied itself up in the stall? And did that have anything to do with the noises in the cave? Roy was wondering, and so was everyone else in the village. Are you wondering who's doing all those things?
Yes.
Next week, we'll find out some more, okay? Now, did you write down our mystery word yet for today? What is it? Reliable. You're right. Reliable is like being dependable. If you're a reliable person, I know that I can count on you for something. And I'm glad that you watched again today. That was good. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.